Welcome to Quiz for All channel. In this history quiz, we'll examine the great revolutions that changed the course of history. 50 questions, from America's fight for independence to the rise of industry and new ideas that transformed the modern world. Test yourself, have fun, and good luck. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss any new quizzes. Thanks. When did the American Revolution officially begin? In 1775, 1776, or 1783? The American Revolution officially began in 1775. Which event marked the start of the fighting between Britain and the colonies? Was it the Boston Tea Party, the Battle of Lexington and Concord, or the Declaration of Independence? The Battle of Lexington and Concord marked the start of the fighting. Who wrote the pamphlet Common Sense, encouraging independence from Britain? Was it John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, or Thomas Paine? Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense, urging Americans to seek independence. Which country became America's most important ally during the American Revolutionary War? Was it France, Spain, or the Netherlands? France became America's most important ally during the Revolution. True or false? The Declaration of Independence was signed by all 13 colonies on July 4, 1776. False. The Declaration was adopted on July 4th, but most delegates signed it later, beginning on August 2, 1776. Who led the Continental Army against the British during the American Revolution? Was it Benedict Arnold, Benjamin Franklin, or George Washington? George Washington led the Continental Army to victory in the American Revolution. Where did Washington's army endure a harsh winter in 1777-1778? Was it Boston, Valley Forge, or Yorktown? Washington's army spent the brutal winter at Valley Forge. Who famously said, "Give me liberty or give me death"? Was it Patrick Henry, Alexander Hamilton, or John Hancock? It was Patrick Henry. What treaty officially ended the war between the United States and Great Britain? Was it the Treaty of London, the Treaty of Paris, or the Treaty of Versailles? The Treaty of Paris officially ended the war in 1783. Warning. Now the tricky one. Who was the American spy executed by the British in 1776, famously saying, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country"? Was it Thomas Paine, Paul Revere, or Nathan Hale? It was Nathan Hale. Next, the French Revolution. When did the French Revolution begin? Was it 1789, 1792, or 1799? It began in 1789. Who was the King of France at the start of the Revolution? Was it Louis XIV, Louis XV, or Louis XVI? It was Louis XVI. Before the Revolution, members of the Third Estate had what main role in French society? Were they commoners, priests, or nobles? They were commoners, everyone from peasants to the bourgeoisie. The storming of which Paris prison by enraged citizens marked the start of the French Revolution? Was it the Temple, the Conciergerie, or the Bastille? It was the Bastille. When the Third Estate broke away from the Estates General, what did they declare themselves to be? The National Assembly, the Committee of Public Safety, or the Convention? They declared themselves the National Assembly. What did the tennis court oath pledge? To support the king, to write a constitution, or to demand equality? They pledged to write a constitution for France. True or false? The Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen was modeled partly after the American Declaration of Independence. True. Both proclaimed liberty and equality as fundamental rights. Which financial crisis helped spark the revolution? Was it caused by crop failures, wars, or both? Both. Decades of costly wars and failed harvests left France broke and hungry. What device became the symbol of the French Revolution's violence? Was it the cannon, the guillotine, or the royal crown? It was the guillotine. Tricky one ahead. What financial minister tried to reform taxes before the revolution but was dismissed by the king? Was it Lafayette, Jacques Necker, or Maximilien Robespierre? It was Jacques Necker. When did Napoleon Bonaparte seize power in France? Was it 1799, 1802, or 1804? It was 1799. Which famous victory made Napoleon a national hero early in his career? Was it Austerlitz, Toulon, or Waterloo? It was Toulon, in 1793. True or false? Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of France. True. In 1804, he took the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it on his own head. What battle is considered Napoleon's greatest triumph? Was it Austerlitz, Leipzig, or Borodino? Austerlitz, the day Napoleon proved himself a master of strategy. Which naval battle destroyed much of Napoleon's fleet in 1805? Was it Jena, Trafalgar, or Ulm? The Battle of Trafalgar shattered Napoleon's naval ambitions. You've made it to the halfway point. If you're liking the quiz, give that like button a click. Thanks. Which country suffered Napoleon's disastrous invasion in 1812? Was it Prussia, Spain, or Russia? Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812 ended in catastrophe. What was Napoleon's famous escape and return to power in 1815 called? Was it the final campaign, the 100 Days, or the March to Paris? It was the 100 Days. Who led the British forces that finally defeated Napoleon at Waterloo? Was it Charles Cornwallis, Horatio Nelson, or Arthur Wellesley? It was Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington. Which international meeting reshaped Europe after Napoleon's fall? Was it the Congress of Vienna, the Treaty of Vienna, or the Treaty of Paris? The answer is the Congress of Vienna. the grand meeting that redrew Europe's map after Napoleon's fall. What was the name of Napoleon's beloved horse, which carried him in many battles? Was it Vizier, Marengo, or Caesar? It was Marengo, a small gray Arabian that followed Napoleon from triumph to exile. Which country became the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution? Was it France, Germany, or the United Kingdom? The United Kingdom led the way, the first nation to industrialize on a massive scale. Who invented the steam engine that powered early factories and trains? Was it James Watt, George Stephenson, or Eli Whitney? That credit goes to James Watt, whose improved steam engine fueled the industrial age. Which industry was the first to be transformed by machines? Was it textiles, mining, or shipbuilding? Textiles were the first. Spinning and weaving turned mechanical almost overnight. True or false, the Industrial Revolution caused cities to shrink as people returned to farming. False. Cities exploded in size as rural workers rushed to factory jobs. Which early railway line became the world's first to carry passengers and freight by steam? Was it the Stockton and Darlington Railway, the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, or the Great Western Railway? The answer is the Stockton and Darlington Railway, opened in 1825 as the first public steam railway in history. Who is credited with inventing the telegraph? Was it Alexander Graham Bell, Samuel Morse, or Michael Faraday? The telegraph was the work of Samuel Morse, who sent the first message in 1844. True or false, child labor was common in early factories. True. Many children toiled long hours under harsh conditions. What was one major social impact of the Industrial Revolution? Was it a rise in rural farming, a decline in trade, or the growth of the middle class? The Industrial Revolution led to the rise of a new middle class, made up of factory owners, engineers, and skilled professionals. What marked the end of the Industrial Revolution? Was it the start of World War I, the invention of the telephone, or early 20th century reforms? Historians often mark the end of the Industrial Revolution with early 20th century reforms that transformed labor, industry, and technology. Which scientists' research laid the foundation for modern chemistry during the Industrial Era? Was it Louis Pasteur, John Dalton, or Dmitri Mendeleev? John Dalton, the man who introduced atomic theory. We're about to start the final chapter. If you're still with me, please leave a comment. It really means a lot. Thank you. Which wave of revolution swept across Europe in 1848? Was it the autumn of empire, the springtime of nations, or the winter of change? The answer is the springtime of nations, a series of uprisings for liberty and national unity. Who was the Prussian statesman who led the unification of Germany? Was it Frederick the Great, Kaiser Wilhelm II, or Otto von Bismarck? It was Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor who forged Germany through war and diplomacy. Which Italian leader was known as the Sword of Italian Unification? Was it Count Cavour, Giuseppe Garibaldi, or Victor Emmanuel II? Giuseppe Garibaldi earned the title, the daring general who united southern Italy. True or false? Most 1848 revolutions ended in long-lasting democratic governments. False. Although many revolutions were suppressed, they inspired later reforms and movements. Which empire was known as the sick man of Europe in the 19th century? Was it the Austrian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, or the Russian Empire? The Ottoman Empire earned that nickname as it slowly weakened under internal struggles and rising nationalist movements. We're down to the final 5. If you've enjoyed this quiz so far, I'd love for you to explore more history challenges. Links below and up here. True or false? The abolition of slavery was a global movement during the 19th century. True. Inspired by ideals of liberty and human rights, many nations outlawed slavery. What movement promoted pride in national identity and culture? Was it Romanticism, realism, or nationalism? Nationalism inspired people to unite based on language and culture. Which movement fought for women's right to vote? Was it the suffragette movement, the Chartist movement, or the temperance movement? It was the suffragette movement, women who refused to stay silent and demanded the right to vote. Which major event pushed Tsar Alexander II to abolish serfdom in Russia? Was it the Crimean War, the Decembrist Revolt, or the Russo-Turkish War? It was the Crimean War. Russia's defeat revealed the need for reform and modernization. Which philosopher argued that history is shaped by class struggle? Was it Friedrich Nietzsche, Karl Marx, or John Stuart Mill? It was Karl Marx. Enjoyed the quiz? Subscribe for more challenges. Check out these videos next.